look at the screen. Look at the camera.
Oh, okay.
Hello, beloved. How are you doing? And thank you so much for tuning in today. How is your Friday going, or how was your week? You know, I'm always excited. My week was fine. Yesterday, I did my first the Christian Millionaire Book Club for the first time, and it went really, really well. So the next one is going to be on the 25th of July. It's every last Thursday of the month. So if you live around Surrey area, why not join us and come and learn something? Now, today we are going to be talking about a topic that it's very challenging, and I find a lot of people do not like to talk about it because it's a sensitive topic. And we are going to try and shed as much light as we can and share some strategies to help you if at all you're in a toxic relationship. And today's topic is about domestic abuse, the hidden crime. And we are going to be focusing more on men imposing the violence on women, because I know there are some men out there as well who suffer domestic violence. And I would encourage you to speak up. So the next show, maybe what I will do is actually invite some men who are also suffering from domestic violence to come and speak out so you can help your fellow men as well. But today we are going to be focusing more on the women who have been on the receiving end. And you know, when we talk about domestic violence, I didn't know much. And I wondered why a lot of people stayed in a toxic relationship. And it wasn't until when I got talking to these two ladies that they shed some light why people do what they do when they're in a toxic relationship. So if you are, and you know somebody who is actually in that kind of relationship and doesn't know what to do, please do call them. We are going to take a short break before I introduce my guest to give you time to call your friends, call your family members, call anyone that you know who is actually suffering or actually in a domestic violence. And we'll be back. Thank you so much. See you in a bit. Thank you so much for coming back. I hope you grab yourself a cup of tea and call somebody so they can also tune in. Now, with me in the studio today to help shed light on domestic violence, somebody who has been on the receiving end, is Zoe Parsons. She is an inspirational person who is a champion on domestic violence. She went from being in an extremely abusive relationship where she experienced physical, sexual, and emotional abuse to helping others through her company that she formed, which is called
Self-love after abuse.
Self-love after abuse. And I also have another lady who is a professional in that area, who works with women who are in that kind of abusive relationship. And she is Noreen Mukalazi. She's an integrative counselor and coach, founder of Equip Boys. She supports women who face trauma from domestic and sexual violence. Zoe and Noreen, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
How are you doing, ladies?
Fine.
Are you okay?
Terrified, but fine.
No,
it's all good.
We're good.
Don't worry, the viewers won't eat you. They're here, they want to feed from you guys, right?
Yeah, sure.
Definitely.
So just share what you can. And thank you so much for honoring my invitation. Because I know there are a lot of women out there who are suffering from domestic violence. And they're so scared to talk about it because they think, you know, people are going to talk about them, you know, and probably they're in that relationship and they don't know how to get out.
Definitely.
So I'm going to start with you, Zoe. I want you to share your story. I'll give you a minute to share your story.
Yeah, so I was in a abusive relationship for 6 years. As I said, it covered all the different areas of abuse. In total, there are 6 different types of abuse that you can experience within a relationship. So really any type of avenue that someone would use to control you, manipulate you, and just put limits on your freedoms. That's really what the type of abuse we're talking about. Some of it is more obvious, some of it is more subtle. So with me, obviously, my relationship, it started very subtle. I thought he was my soulmate. You know, he did the whole love bombing and made me feel so special. But gradually, it just escalated to the point that he was... he took my money, he was physically abusive, he was raping me on a regular basis. Obviously, I had a child with him, so that makes things more difficult when it comes to deciding to leave, because you have all the stereotypes. Exactly, but you also have the stereotypes about, oh, my child needs a father, and I don't want to. I want to be a family unit. I don't want to be exactly, and so you kind of try to make it work. But what you don't realize is, within an abusive relationship, you can't make it work. There's absolutely nothing you can do to fix the issues, to resolve the problems. It is essentially the only way you can sort it is to leave.
And
That
because
is
the
your
other
only
person is in
option.
control, isn't it?
Exactly.
So you find it difficult.
Yes, and the thing is that you tend to feel worthless. Your self-esteem and your self-confidence just gets so broken and just put down to rock bottom that, I mean, I actually reached the point that I felt that I deserved what he did to me. I mean, he was choking me, he was pulling my hair, he would twist my skin, he would pin me on the floor, he was doing all kinds of things to me. Like, I had to give him all my passwords for my social media.
Well, that's very controlling.
Very.
And how long did it start into the relationship? When did you start noticing these signs?
Really from when I had my daughter. So that's when it really kind of escalated. I mean, when I look back now and I look at the red flags of when we was dating and leading up to the period of when I got pregnant, I can actually see that there was definite signs and signals that if I'd have known about them then, so what I know now, I definitely would never have touched him with a barge pole. But this is the problem that we have in society. I mean, we was talking about it earlier, wasn't it? Is that there's just not enough information out there educating you about this stuff. You're not told about it when you're at school.
No.
Generally, as groups of women, you don't discuss it within your friends.
Yes.
I mean, my mum said to me, she said, oh, if a man ever hits you, if he ever gives you a black eye, you leave. So that's what I thought domestic abuse was. And yet I didn't actually get a black eye until 6 months after I left him, when he broke into my home and then physically attacked me. And yet mine was abusive pretty much right from the very beginning.
Different forms of abuse.
Exactly.
Now let me just bring in Noreen, because Noreen, you work with a lot of ladies as well who have suffered that kind, and you offer them support.
Yes.
What are some of the
I just want to say I'm really proud of you ladies. I know you're watching me today. So many of you we've walked this journey together, and I'm so proud of you. And you're going to be amazing women, and you're going to come and tell your story just like Zoe did. So well done for sticking in, and well done for achieving whatever you've achieved. So I'll just start with some statistics, Linda. Nearly 2 million people a year in England and Wales experience domestic abuse, and that's according to the Home Affairs Committee report.
2 million people.
2 million people.
Wow.
That's 2017 to 19, and that's a very current report. There's also another statistics that is so scary. On average, victims of abuse will live with their partner for 3 years before they actually seek help.
And within that 3 years, anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Anything can happen.
Wow.
Anything can happen. So on average, in the UK, two women are killed each week, according to NIA. So these statistics are real. They're live. You can go on the websites and look them up. So domestic violence is real. It's not a joke. It's not something you can sit and just talk about. However, it's got so many stages, and working with people and talking to people, and you talk to someone and they're like, oh, I didn't know I was in an abusive relationship. When you talk about different things, especially in the therapy room, I meet people, and when you're talking to them, and they're telling you.
So what are some of the red flags?
So definitely one is if they try and rush the relationship. So quite often, so
from a dating stage?
Yeah, to basically you've on your second date and they're telling you they love you. By the time you're 2 months in, they're proposing marriage. And this might seem quite far-fetched, and you might think, wow, but this actually happens.
But some people will turn around and say, okay, somebody rushed me and I haven't been in any kind of abusive relationship, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you see, why they rush you is because why we say red flags is, so an abusive person, a narcissist, a sociopath, a toxic person, however we're going to label them, they will wear a mask. And this is because this is to hide who they really are underneath. And underneath, they're abusers. They're horrible, horrible people. And they will wear this mask. But obviously, throughout the time when you're dating, the mask slips, which is when you see red flags.
It's like a carrot on a stick, isn't it?
Exactly. And the red flags peek through when this mask slips. But obviously, because they're wearing a mask, they can't maintain the facade that they have on for very long. So they rush you into a relationship. So the idea is they want to get you hooked, they want to get you bonded with them, and they want you to feel that basically this is your soulmate and that you can't live your life without them. And they do that by, they'll be really attentive and they'll make you feel that, wow, this is the man of my dreams. But underneath, there'll be things like they might be really jealous. So we live in a society where we're taught that jealousy is a sign of love. And the
Yes.
more jealous a person is,
The more they love you. That
you.
is absolutely rubbish.
Totally.
Totally rubbish. If you're
Totally.
watching that and somebody told you that, please don't believe it. It is
No, don't.
rubbish.
It is rubbish.
It really,
Neither
really
is physical violence a sign of love. That is absolutely rubbish. I don't believe it.
And they
Uh-huh,
never
totally.
change.
They
So
never
if
change.
they
Are
hit
those
you
some
the
of the
first
red
time-
flags you picked up from your clients?
Yes, they never change. If they hit you the first time and they say, "Oh, I'm really sorry," that's a red
Bring
flag.
you flowers.
Yeah, bring your flowers, say they're really sorry. That's a red flag. And also trying to understand it from the perpetrator's point of view.
Yes.
Some of these men have grown up seeing that violence. So remember, sometimes it's not even intended. They do not know what a non-violent man looks like, which is why I started Equip Boys. Who is training our boys? Who is talking to them? Who is preparing them
Not
for the
to be,
future?
yes.
To be, because I kept going through these things and you look at the
No,
cycle
but I
of
like
violence.
that. I like
Yes.
that because it's true. When you grow up in an abusive relationship,
You
not
will.
everyone who grows up in an abusive relationship will turn up
Becomes.
like that.
But-
But then it's true if you've been in that environment,
that's what you know.
wouldn't know any
You
better.
wouldn't know
No,
any better.
that's right.
Yeah, you wouldn't know any better. So some of the perpetrators, unfortunately, do not know that they're actually abusive. And abuse is not just physical.
No.
It's a lot of manipulation, coercion. I had a friend who actually called off her wedding because she realized she was in an abusive relationship because she was told by this fiancé, if I call you the first time and the second time, the third time you don't pick up, you're cheating on me. And every time she became so anxious that she had to go to the toilet with her phone, to the bathroom, to the kitchen. Every time her phone rang,
Somebody's
she
actually
jumped.
controlling you
That
from a
is
distance.
that is abuse. So her abuse actually started before she even got married. So abuse is not physical. It is a lot. It's and when we talk about trauma, when we go into trauma, it's a complex. It's placed on a complex trauma. So we've got type 1 trauma and type 2.
So what is the type 1 trauma?
Type 1 trauma is when you have an accident and you see something very scary.
I think we have a call coming through. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how can I help?
Is it live for us to call? Or
Absolutely, it is
live.
live and you're free to ask questions and you'll be able to help and answer the question. What's your name, please?
Oh, my name is Alima.
Hi, Alima, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
How can we help?
I recognize that voice.
Yes, you have a question for us?
It's Alima here.
Hi, Alima, yes, how can we help?
Hi. I am so happy to know that the program is covering domestic violence.
Thank
As an
you.
advocate, and I wanted to say, yes, I do. And this is directed to Noreen, who I work with closely in the
Yes.
London Borough of Newark. And to your other guests, thank you so much for covering such a sensitive topic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, my question is to both of them. In terms of, in particular, African women who often are so scared to access services pertaining to domestic abuse because sometimes what they would often do is to try and get help from within their family. And there is this fear when they speak to family members not to get the police involved. Now, having worked in this area for quite a while now, we know the help that women in particular can get from the police. So I just wanted to know what advice you would give to any concerning woman or man watching the program right now. What help is available via the police and that they can get access to and reach to if they're in any sort of a situation where they find themselves stuck.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the
Thank you,
question,
Alima.
Alima.
Very,
So,
very good question.
ladies?
So,
do you want to go first?
yes,
Zoe?
so I was just going to say, I actually wrote a blog about this because obviously I had the police involved in my situation. My ex is actually in prison for what he did to me. So I've had to go to court trials, criminal trials. One of them was at the Old Bailey. So I have extensive experience from a victim side going on to like a survivor to then going on to a life coach where I'm actually helping people the whole range. And so I wrote a blog about this because what I found is that often with going to the police, it's scary because you don't know what's going to happen. And it's just understanding the process, understanding the steps. What are they going to do? What happens when you report something? Where does it go? How do they investigate it? And then just how everything happens. So on my website, I've written a blog about this purely so people can go and they can get the information. And then from there, they can then make a bit more of an informed choice as to whether or not going down the police route is for them. I mean, obviously, I know without the police help, I wouldn't be
here.
where I am
How
now.
about Noreen? What can you say about that?
In terms of support, there is support. The first point of call I would say is go call 999 if you're in danger. That's my best advice to you. Do not be scared when the perpetrator says, or if you call the police, they're going to take your children. Social services, no. Social services is not going to take your children away from you. So please, please, if your life is in danger, please call
Seek help.
999. That's the best advice. Because normally in violent relationships, there's not enough time. So it's a quick response thing. So if you feel your life is in danger, your children are in danger, please do call 999. And the police has now been trained. So we've got divisions within the police who are working on serious case reviews, and we're learning. The Home Office has invested a lot of money in that, where they're learning from the serious case reviews. Maraks sit often in every borough, and they talk about how to deal with different cases. So the help is there. Do not stay in an abusive relationship. Whether you have immigration issues, whether you have leave the abusive relationship. You will get help. You're better off being alive so you can look after your children than you being dead because you're trying to stick into a relationship.
Thank you, Alima. I hope we've answered your question. I think she's gone offline now. I hope we've answered your question. Thank you so much. Now I wanted to move on to I know we touched on a little bit, but I wanted to find, why do women stay in an abusive relationship? Because that is something that I'm struggling to understand.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, it's a really, really complicated
it's
area,
a very
right?
complicated thing, and what I would say is working with so many women, because like I said, all the women I've worked with, no woman has just got domestic violence today and they left. It's been going on. I've worked with a woman who was in an abusive relationship for 40 years.
40 years.
40 years. And she just
within that
woke
time,
up.
of course, she's had grown-up children.
She's grown up, even grandchildren. But she just realized and said, you know what? I think I have to leave this man now. Because every morning he would wake up and kick her to go make him his breakfast. And that was the life she had to live all her life.
So where was the turnaround?
The turnaround is, I think when kids had grown, she felt she was independent, and she was like, you know what, I think I really need to live my life now, you know. And there's a lot of factors why women stay into relationship. For me, most of the things I find is there's a cultural factor. There's a stigma attached to it.
Absolutely.
If I go to a church, how will they know that my husband, who's the deacon, has been hitting me? How would that be seen if I'm in the mosque?
By the church members, isn't it?
Yeah. If I'm in a mosque and then I talk about my husband in an ill way, how will the people perceive that? So there's a lot of factors, and then there's children, and then remember, perpetrators will indoctrinate your brain. So most of these women have very low self-esteem because the perpetrator has told you from day one, Noreen, you can never amount to anything. You can never leave me. You can never, in fact, your children are going to be taken by social services. You will not cope.
So it's a complete brainwash.
So it's a complete brainwash. Yes. So your brain is so fixed on that relationship that you're like, you know what? I cannot leave. And also domestic violence has no boundaries. We have women with high-flying careers who are going through domestic violence. There's
no face attached to it.
There's no face attached to it. It's not anyone or uneducated part. It's everyone. It's got no boundaries. And also there's men who are going through domestic
Oh,
and
absolutely,
sexual
yeah, they
violence.
are, they are.
And if we had time, we would have talked about narcissism, because that's one of
Yes,
the
we are
things
going to touch on that. That's the next thing we are going to touch on that.
That is something that I've done a lot of research on, but I'll let I'll let Zoe,
because I know
get on.
Zoe is
Yes,
specialized in that.
Yes, I am. Yes. So just going on to the point why women might stay is when you're in an abusive relationship, you have this thing called a trauma bond, and this is where your mind gets addicted to them. So abusers will do this thing called intermittent reinforcement, where they'll be affectionate and then they'll withdraw it, and then they'll be affectionate. And what happens is you get addicted, because when they're affectionate, you will get this high. So in your
Yes.
brain, all these endorphins.
So you're like on drugs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you get addicted to that. And you become, as Noreen says, you become dependent on that person. So, and you mistake this addiction, let's call it, for love. And you think, I love this person, you're frightened of them. And it's just very, very complicated. So that
Let's
you can
touch on the
find that
narcissist,
in.
because I'm just
Yes,
thinking of
'cause
the
we're running
time.
out of
Yes.
time. I know, right?
So we have literally 3 minutes to touch on the narcissist, please.
Yes.
Explain what it is first.
So narcissism is a personality disorder. So it goes on a scale of sociopathy. So you've got someone who would have narcissistic traits to someone who's a narcissist, sociopath, psychopath. And basically what this scale means is the further along a person is on this scale is the less empathy they will have, which means they will behave in a manner where they know they're doing something wrong, but they don't actually care.
Wow.
It's all
So
about them.
So they're emotionless?
yes, they're
Not really. They're self-absorbed. It's
Yes.
all about them. It's them and what they've got to achieve out of it. So yeah. So if I have to have my dinner at 7 p.m. and
It
it's
has
not-
to be
it
7.
has to be 7 p.m. Why is it not 7 p.m.? You know, so I have to have my dinner. I don't care what you say.
That's
It has
right.
to be at 7 p.m. And like Zoe, I'll let you carry on. It becomes a personality disorder, and it goes on and on and on. It's a lot. And then if you do something wrong, if he does something wrong, it's your fault. It is your fault that I cheated. You are the reason why I had to go and look for sex
That's
outside
why
of this
women stay in such
Yes.
relationship, isn't
So,
it?
yeah.
Definitely,
So
'cause you get
you
broken
have to
by it.
understand narcissism, and that's where all these homicides come from, because you are the reason why he's ill. You're the reason why his manager does not like him at work, because you're stressing him at home. You didn't put his dinner on the table at 7 p.m., so you are the problem. That is a narcissist.
Ladies,
Yes.
ladies,
In a
ladies,
nutshell.
In a
Yes.
nutshell, yeah.
please, if you're watching this and you are in abusive relationship, please try and speak to Zoe or Noreen after the show and get some help and get out before you go 6 feet under. This is serious. This is absolutely serious.
It's very serious. I came very close to losing my life.
And you wouldn't be here if you hadn't actually sought
No.
help, right?
No, I wouldn't. So, I mean, the process, obviously, I called the police. I went through the supports that they were able to offer. I was saying, we was talking about it earlier, that with regards to the emotional support, it's limited, which is one of the reasons why I trained and got certified as a life coach, and I specialise in this area, purely because you can get practical support, but as Noreen was saying about the trauma,
emotional
you need
support.
help to heal the trauma,
heal, yes.
to be able to move on. I mean, I was diagnosed with PTSD, anxiety disorder, battered woman syndrome, a whole heap
have you
of
overcome
things.
that?
Yes, definitely. I mean, with therapy, with help.
You know
with
what I'm going to do? I think
what
we're
I
going to do a
trained on.
pre-record after this live show.
Okay.
Because this is a very exhaustive topic.
It is.
Right?
That we cannot actually
need
cover.
Yes.
We need an hour, even a whole day
We
to
need
talk
a
about.
whole day. No, domestic.
Yeah, seriously, we
and
need. It's
most
not-
people do not understand. They think domestic violence is when someone hits you.
No, it's not.
It is deeper than that. And the thing is, most of these things affect you once the perpetrator is left. For
That's right.
example, your homicide level, like the risk of you dying, is when you actually leave your partner. You are very high risk, and the police actually know that. And actually, most of the homicides we have is when the woman's actually left the perperpetrator. Most
That's-
of them.
yeah.
I
So
think
would you
90%
say it's
of
better
it.
for them to stay in?
No, it's not.
No, you
but it
need
goes
to
to
have an
show
exit
you.
plan.
Yeah, it goes to show you have to have a safety plan. It goes to show you that these perpetrators are really determined to make you go down and under. So women, it doesn't get better. It only gets worse.
It gets worse.
And I can vouch for it getting worse.
Yeah.
I mean, mine went from where he lifted me and carried me over a puddle to he was breaking in my house with a concrete block,
Yeah.
headbutting me, and I had to have 12
Yeah.
stitches in my face.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it gets worse.
It gets
you
worse.
can't fix it.
Yeah.
And you know what? If Zoe can sit here and tell the story, you too can do the same.
Definitely.
Well done, Zoe. I
Well
must
done,
say,
Zoe.
well
No,
done,
seriously,
Zoe.
it
You're
is. It
helping
is.
so
There's
many women out
definitely hope out there. There's
There
people
is.
out there that can help you. And you don't have to do this alone. And you can go on from being in an abusive relationship to thrive, be happy.
Thrive.
Your
I mean,
children
Look
can
at you. You're
thrive.
thriving and you look
I know, right?
gorgeous, right?
Thank you.
Yes, and there is hope after an abusive relationship. There is life after an
Definitely.
abusive
30
relationship.
seconds, lady. Just a quick
Yeah.
note to the viewers. 30 seconds. Just looking through the camera and just
Yeah.
speak to a lady who is watching right now.
Yeah, so my advice to you is if you're in an abusive relationship, seek help. I'm happy to be called. You can follow me on Facebook, Noreen Mukalazi. I'm on Twitter, Facebook. Follow me on there. And if you need help, my help is free. I'll be there to support you and guide you and direct you in the right direction.
Thank you, Noreen. Zoe?
Yes. And obviously, my name's Zoe Parsons, and I've set up my everything on social media as self-love after abuse, because really the first step to healing, to getting yourself free, is loving yourself, making yourself a priority. And I know that's really hard, especially when you have children, and especially when you're in an abusive relationship and you've been told that you're worthless and that you have no value. Trust me, you do have value. You are worth more than this. You do deserve better. If you want to connect with me, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm everywhere. So you'll either find me via searching for Zoe Parsons or Self-Love After Abuse.
What we are going to do is we are going to do a pre-record, okay? And we are going to post it on my YouTube channel or air it later on in the maybe some months down the line. But we're going to do a pre-record to continue from where we've left off. If you have any more questions, please do feel free to either email me or email one of the ladies here and we'll get back to you.
Yes.
But please,
Definitely.
if you are in an abusive relationship right now, try and look for strategies to get out. And we will share that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so